welcome back to my channel and welcome to today's video where I'm going to be sharing a few of the updates in type 1 diabetes research for a cure and for new treatments, and specifically the artificial pancreas. So today it is Monday the 13th of July, and on Thursday, so the 7th, I watched a live update from JDRF where they explained all of this kind of new research and with a massive focus on the artificial pancreas. So I thought I would just do a summary video for anyone that is interested and doesn't want to watch the whole thing. It's not that long, and I will leave, of course, the link in the description box below. But I feel like there were quite a lot of comments that came up and questions in the live chat that weren't answered, and I left with quite a few questions myself. So I have gone away and done some research to fill in the gaps for myself and for you guys. Of course, I will leave all the links in the description box to any websites that I used, so you know where my information is coming from. If you want to go away and do a bit of your own research as well, all the links will be down there. Also, I feel like another thing I want to say is that this video will largely be focused, well, not all of it, but there will be chunks that are largely focused on the UK, because I feel like there are loads of really great kind of diabetes related accounts talking about the latest tech and all that kind of thing. But when it comes to actually getting access to it in the UK, I feel like that's where there's a lack of information on these kind of platforms, and it can be a real struggle getting certain things in the UK, specifically if you're trying to get them funded. So I will go into detail in this video about how the different updates that I'm talking about, when we see them, could see them coming in. But yeah, that is all I wanted to say as an intro. Let's just get into this video with the first thing that everybody wants to know when you talk about type 1 diabetes research, which is a cure. No, there isn't a cure yet, but JDRF have said they are making kind of leaps and bounds towards the cure. They explain that basically with type 1 diabetes there are two problems that need to be solved, and the first thing is the lack of beta cells which produce the insulin in the pancreas, and the second thing is the immune response that has triggered the attack on those cells, so the reason why we have no beta cells basically. And so their research focuses on both those areas, because obviously there's no point getting beta cells into your body if they're then going to be destroyed from an immune response that hasn't yet been corrected. So they did say at the moment they are running trials, clinical trials that are looking really promising on newly diagnosed type 1 diabetics, finding a way to protect the beta cells that they have left. So when you are firstly diagnosed, your beta cells don't just all disappear straight away, they kind of slowly die off, which is why you have the honeymoon period, because you still have a few cells that are doing the work of kind of half a pancreas for you. So they are working on protecting those cells in people that are newly diagnosed for now, because that information can then also help them understand how they can protect future beta cells that could be implanted or transferred, or however they're going to do it. They also mentioned that there have been some real leaps and bounds in terms of immunotherapies for cancer patients, and they said that research is also really vital for type 1 diabetes and can be transferred into all this kind of immunotherapy stuff. Obviously I'm not a scientist, so I don't know the ins and outs, but that's where we're at with a cure. There is research going on fixing the two different problems that we have as a type 1 diabetic, and they are running clinical trials. I think right now they said they're only really looking for people that are either newly diagnosed or people that are pregnant for clinical trials for various things, and I will leave a link in the description box to their specific page where you can read about clinical trials that are happening right now and see how and when you could get involved if that's something you're interested in. Secondly, they also mentioned they are currently working on developing faster acting insulins. So if you've watched any of my day in the life of a type 1 diabetic videos where I kind of do a vlog in a day as a type 1 diabetic and explain all of my decisions behind my insulin doses and that kind of thing, you'll know that slow acting insulin, or insulin that's not kind of rapid enough, is a real problem for me, because I feel like it takes a long time to correct high blood sugars, and sometimes you end up overcorrecting because it hasn't all acted, and then it all acts at once and then you crash, and it's just annoying. But they are developing insulins that work faster and mimic more kind of effectively the work of an actual pancreas. So that is all of the updates that aren't about the artificial pancreas, so let's just get into the artificial pancreas. So this whole video that JDRF did came about because the first artificial pancreas app to be licensed and approved in the UK and the EU was launched in March, and it's called the CamAPS FX. Having said that it's been launched and licensed in the UK, that doesn't mean that you have free access to it already. You don't. I will discuss a bit later on the kind of accessibility of it in the UK at the moment, but for now I'm just going to discuss a bit about how it works. So an artificial pancreas is a CGM linked with a pump. They communicate via an algorithm which can be on a separate device. In this case, it's an app on your actual phone. And this algorithm on the device basically takes all the information from the CGM and works out what insulin you need, when you need it, and delivers it automatically via the pump. So it basically acts without you having to tell it what to do, like your own pancreas would do, except it's two separate devices attached to you and then one device to link the two. Now, when I say CGM, it has to be a constant glucose monitor, not a flash glucose monitor like the Libra. So I couldn't get one with the Libra because with the Libra, all the information is just stored on the sensor until you scan it with the phone or the reader that they give you, and it shows you your blood sugar. Whereas a constant glucose monitor, like a Dexcom or a Guardian sensor, constantly sends the glucose data to the cloud. You don't have to scan it or do anything to see what your blood glucose is. It will automatically be on your phone screen or on your Apple Watch or any device that you have it connected to. Because you need it to be constantly giving this app the glucose information in order for the app to decide your insulin doses, it has to be a constant glucose monitor. A lot of you may be aware of DIY artificial pancreases or closed loop systems that have been going in the UK. There's been a movement called the #WeAreNotWaiting movement, where people have kind of developed their own artificial pancreas situation by getting hold of a CGM and a pump and either having their own app, or I think there are a few apps you can buy, but they haven't been licensed or approved in the UK as of yet. This is the first one. I personally have not dabbled in that, firstly because I don't have a pump. I'm working on it at the moment. It is a ongoing battle, but that's a whole other video that will be coming to you shortly. So I couldn't do it even if I wanted to, but personally I would rather wait until I have things that are researched and approved kind of to the NHS standard, because I trust that and I know it's safe, and with insulin I don't want to be making any kind of mistakes. But if that is something you are interested in and you're at the point where you feel like you need it, I know there are Facebook groups available discussing DIY artificial pancreas closed loop systems, and they have links to apps that you can get if you have a CGM and a pump. Those are available, but this is the first one that is licensed to be used in the UK, and is licensed for anyone from the age of 1 year old and upwards, and for pregnant women. So it has been tried and tested for pregnant women. It's all approved, you have to go ahead. It's going to go into some of the details and specifics and what it does. So it has to be with the Dexcom G6 sensor and a Dana RS insulin pump. I don't think those ones are so common. I might be completely wrong because I haven't had an insulin pump, but doing all my research, it seems that the kind of most popular and main ones are the Omnipod and the T-Slim and the Medtronic. So if you are on a pump and you're not on the Dana RS pump, you will need to switch if you want artificial pancreas. If you're not on a pump and you're thinking about getting one and you want to get the artificial pancreas eventually, get the Dana RS one. And it has to work on an Android phone. So if you have an iPhone, it won't work. If you get approved for the artificial pancreas, I don't know whether you get provided with an Android or if the NHS say basically like, we'll give you everything else, but you've got to switch your phone to an Android if you have an iPhone. I don't know how it works. I did try and look it up, but I didn't see anywhere them saying providing phones, so just bear that in mind. Basically, the whole advantage of this system is that because it's constantly reading your glucose and constantly altering your insulin, it can adjust your insulin doses before you go low and before you go high. So there are a lot of the closed loop systems that exist already with a different kind of CGM and pump. They kind of stop your insulin or reduce your basal insulin when you become low, and equally when you go high, it increases it automatically for you. But this one does it before you get low. So if your CGM is sensing that you are dropping towards going low, it will automatically reduce your basal insulin slightly, and vice versa if you're going high. There are two kind of proven results so far of people that have been using it in trials, is fewer low blood sugars and a better HbA1c. They also mentioned that it is kind of intuitive and it learns about your insulin ratio, so the longer you wear it, it keeps getting better and learns about your specific insulin regime and blood glucose patterns and really hones them in for you automatically like your own pancreas would do. You can also bolus from the app on your phone, which I think is really handy. So if you have a pump, you don't have to go and find it like wherever you've got it in your outfit. Like if you're at a restaurant, you can just pick up your phone, pick up the app, tell it the carbs you're going to have, it will work out your bolus. You can then alter it if you want to, if there's other factors that are involved that the pump hasn't calculated, and then you can just do it all from your app, which I think would be super handy. There's no kind of third device that you need. It's all just there on your Android phone. You can also, like the Dexcom G6 sensor does this by itself already, but it has alarms if you're going low and if you're going high, so you can kind of, if you're someone who doesn't sense it very well, if you've lost your hypo awareness, that can be really good. And also because it's constantly sending the data to the cloud automatically, you can set up other accounts for family members that can read your blood glucose. So for example, I know this has been really helpful for a lot of parents. I saw on the kind of live chat on the video that I watched with JDRF, a lot of parents are saying they finally felt comfortable sending their kids to sleepovers because even though their kid's far away, they can look at their phone and they know that their blood sugars are in a stable range. So that's a massive plus if you are someone who worries about a loved one. You can also pre-plan an ease off factor. So this is one thing that I think I would make massive use of. For example, if you know you're going to be doing exercise, you can plan now and you can reduce your basal insulin to kind of reduce the chance of you going low during exercise, and you can pre-plan it. So if I know now that I'm going to be doing exercise at this time tomorrow, I can tell the pump now that this is what's going to happen, and it will automatically start reducing my basal insulin for me without me having to think about it on the day. You can also do the same, I think, if you want more insulin. For example, if you know you're going to be on a long journey, stuck in a car or on a train, and you know you're going in like a few days time, today you can plan it and it will just slowly give you more basal insulin. It's just really good for reducing hypos, like I've already said, because you can reduce your basal insulin and just plan ahead like you want to as a normal person. Sometimes you want to have a plan and then diabetes comes in and says no. Equally, if you're wanting to go for like a spontaneous long walk, I know for me this really brings my blood sugar down quite a lot, but with this you can reduce your basal insulin and then you're not going to have to snack. I hate every time I have to snack before I go to a walk if I haven't planned it in to my last injection, whereas with this you can just adjust your basal insulin and it'll work it out all for you. And if, say, you reduce your basal insulin by too much and you start going high, then this artificial pancreas will then automatically correct that and kind of give you more basal insulin again. So yeah, it's just fab by the sounds of it, to be honest. So the closest to this app that is kind of already in circulation, not so much in the UK, I think it's quite popular in other countries, is the, hang on a minute, Medtronic 670G pump with the Guardian sensors, and they can do the kind of predictive high and lows. If it feels that you're going low or going high, it can automatically adjust the insulin and that kind of thing, but it doesn't have all of the features that this app has. So if you're looking for something that's close but don't have access to this app, then that is kind of the next option. So how do you get one in the NHS? Well, it turns out the NHS is really bloody complicated. So they mentioned in this video, basically once something is approved on the NHS, it's not just blanket approved, it has to be approved by each NHS trust in England. So each area has to then approve it and adopt it, and that's why it takes so long to get access to things in certain areas and why there's a huge postcode lottery, which is really super annoying. So they did mention this artificial pancreas is currently available and you can get it in Manchester, Southampton, Nottingham and some areas in London, but they didn't specify and I can't find it online. If you live in any of those areas and you're interested, definitely get in contact with your diabetes clinic. They may not even be aware of it because they were saying a lot of clinics aren't even aware because they have so much other stuff they're dealing with. They can't keep up with what's coming out and the latest regulations and approvals. But if it's something you're interested in, mention it, because even if they don't know, then they'll have to find out for you, basically. So that is the only way you can get it in England at the moment, is if you are registered in one of those NHS trusts at a clinic in one of those trusts. Now you can self-fund, but it's going to be expensive. So you need an Android phone, firstly. So if you don't have the right phone and your contract's not up, you're either going to have to pay for your contract to be up or wait till your contract's up. Then you need a pump. So like I said, I am currently waiting to get approved for a pump. It's now, like I said, July, and it doesn't look like I'm going to get one until September, October time because of coronavirus. And I'm going to do a whole nother video on how you get a pump on the NHS. And then you need a CGM, and specifically the Dexcom G6. Now, Libras the flash glucose monitor are hard enough to get on the NHS. I have a video all about how to get one and how I got mine. There's a lot of criteria you have to fill out and a lot of steps in this process. But CGMs, which is what you need for this, are rarely funded in the UK, really rarely funded. You can get one if you lost hypo-awareness, but if you've lost hypo-awareness, it means you also are not allowed to drive. So if you have a CGM, you have to give up your licence, because obviously no one should be driving if you don't know when you're going to go low, because that's really dangerous and understandable, but it means that you can't get a CGM on the NHS unless that is the case, basically. I don't know how many people have them on the NHS in England, but it's going to be a very small amount. If you decide you're going to get your pump and you're going to switch to an Android phone, you then have to get the Dexcom G6. If you get the multi-pack and the year-long subscription, which works out at the cheapest, it is £159 per month minimum. Or if you want to just buy the one, so you have to get a transmitter, which you need a new one every 3 months, and then the sensor, which you need a new one every 10 days. If you want to just buy them individually, it's £200 per transmitter every 30 days, and then £51 per sensor every 10 days. So you're looking at quite a big cost, and then you have the app. So to make it work, you need this app, which was launched in March. This app comes at a subscription fee of £70 per month minimum. It just said prices starting from £70, and it won't tell me more until I actually register, which makes me feel like it's not going to be £70, it's going to be a bit more. So that means if you can actually get your pump on the NHS to start with, and you get hold of an Android phone, it's going to cost you a minimum of £229 per month to get the sensor and the app to make your own artificial pancreas. So realistically, this isn't affordable for a lot of people. But JDRF did say obviously their main push at the moment is getting this rolled out across more areas in England, but I think even then it's still going to be a lot of criteria that you have to fill out in order to get an artificial pancreas on the NHS, because there are a lot of criteria that you have to fit to get a pump. There are, like I said, getting a CGM on the NHS is next to impossible. I don't know if they're going to change those rules now that the artificial pancreas comes out, so that it becomes available to more people that need it. I don't know how they're going to do it. I don't know what the criteria are to get a prescription for the artificial pancreas. It doesn't say anywhere, because it's, I guess, only available in these 4 places. JDRF are, I talk about them so much because I got all this information from them, but honestly this video is not affiliated with them in any way, I should say that now. But they're running a few campaigns that you might be interested in. So there's the Pathway to Choice, which is basically their campaign to get the latest diabetes technology rolled out across the UK to as many people that need and want it as possible. Like I said, it took me, I think 4 months to get the Libra, and I started inquiring about the pump way before now. Well, it's going to take me at least probably 5 to 6 months to get the pump, and it's like sometimes you just need something like now. Like I've recently developed some really annoying not complications, but like difficult symptoms with my diabetes, in terms of how kind of different things are affecting my sugar levels all the time, and so I feel like a pump is something that I would really quite like and would make a huge difference to my life, and it's not available to me readily at the moment. So yeah, that is one campaign. There's also the Open Protocol Initiative, and I don't think this is just a JDRF initiative, but it's basically trying to work to get people to be able to mix and match the technology that they want that works for them. So for example, like I said, this only works with the Dexcom and the Dana RS insulin pump, but it's working to be able to get people to say like, okay, I like the Dexcom, but maybe I prefer my Omnipod. Can they work together, and kind of mixing and matching different technologies so that you can have kind of a more personalised experience and something that works really for you. So yeah, that is all of the updates that I have on the latest research and technology and what is available and what will be available. If you have any questions about this, please leave them in the comments below. I can't guarantee that I'll be able to answer them all, but I will do my best. If you liked this video or found it useful, please give it a like, because it really helps me to know what kind of videos you enjoy watching and which videos are informative. But for now, I will see you in the next one. Bye!